Test, going live. And we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's your fun loving, animated, talking head friend, Callous Mind, back with another hard hitting episode of the Callous Mind livecast. Now, I know that it's been a while since I've been on here, and I kind of have some explaining to do. Adam actually had texted me and asked me if I had the Rona, and that's the reason I had missed my broadcast. But actually, it's nothing like that. I had a friend of mine that I used to work with had asked me to do some work with them, and these were jobs that were out of town. So I've been kind of taking an accidental tour of the state of Arizona, and I've been to Payson, Flagstaff, Winslow, Bullhead City, Fort Mojave, Parker, and Lake Havasu, just to name a few places. So that was the cause of my absence, but I'm back now, and unfortunately, I've missed some weeks of picking games. So what I kind of wanted to talk about was our AFC and NFC winners, or the results of the National Football League Championship weekend. But before I do that, I want to kind of rewind back to the wild card weekend, because that was the last weekend I had picked games for, and I'm sure a lot of people thought I was crazy when I made some of those picks. But if we rewind and look back at the NFL wildcard weekend, I had picked the Bills and they did win. I had picked the Seahawks and they lost. And I had picked the Buccaneers, who beat the Washington football team. I can't remember on this game if I had picked the Ravens or Titans. I wanted to say that I did pick the Ravens, because I said they were going to go on the road and do to the Titans what the Titans had done to them the previous year. Then I'd pick the Saints, and I'd pick the Browns. This Browns game was the one that was really out of control, in my opinion, because the Browns started off so hot. I mean, you can see it right here in the score. They scored 28 points in the first quarter, which was just incredible. So they essentially beat the Steelers 2 weeks in a row, which was good for them, and probably good for Baker Mayfield's continuing contract situation going forward in Cleveland. So now we're here post championship week, and we're down to two. And I just wanted to kind of talk about these games here. Um, these results aren't necessarily any big surprise. Brady went on the road and beat the Washington football team, and beat the New Orleans Saints, and then went on the road and beat the Packers. This obviously was not what the Packers had in mind by working so hard, gaining home field advantage, just to lose at home, which is always a terrible feeling. But this just happened to be where Brady was used to cold weather, so even if it had been cold and inclement and stuff, it probably wouldn't have made much of a difference, as the Bucks go on the road and get the win. And then the Bills and Chiefs, I think the Bills did themselves pretty well, but at the end of it all, I mean, look at Kansas City hanging 21 points in the second quarter of that game, and they go on and win. And this is not a real big surprise. I mean, the reality is that the Kansas City Chiefs are like a neutral zone infraction away from having gone to 3 consecutive Super Bowls. So this team is just dynamite. And if I had to pick right now who is going to win, who I think is going to win the Super Bowl, then I think it's going to be the Kansas City Chiefs. They've been clearly the best team in football all year long, and I don't think that's going to change given the fact they have like 2 weeks of rest or whatever. So yeah, I totally see the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl. Now there was a bunch of stories. Some of them are a little probably outdated by now. There's still some funny stories I wanted to kind of talk about though, and some kind of head scratching stories. Uh, see, one of them I wanted to talk about was the Eagles firing Doug Pederson, which kind of surprised me. But here's that story right here. And this is from January 11th. The Eagles fired head coach Doug Pederson on Monday, ending a partnership to deliver the first and only Super Bowl title in the city's history. Let's see. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. It seems like the Eagles just won the Super Bowl in, what was it, 2018? Yeah, it seemed like it was 2018. Typically, seems like these guys who win Super Bowls usually get a longer leash than this. But it says right here, Pederson was expected to remain a coach despite a 4-11-1 finish this season. But multiple meetings with team owner Jeffrey Lurie over the past week left his boss unconvinced that Pederson had a sound vision for how to address the myriad issues facing the team, from navigating the Carson Wentz situation to fixing an offense that finished 26th in scoring. So I kind of didn't see that coming, because I figured that Super Bowl would have uh, bought Doug Pederson at least a little bit more time, but apparently the Philadelphia Eagles owner thought differently. So that's that. I mean, if there's any Eagles fans that listen to this show, you can let me know what you think about that in the comment section below. I kind of think it might be a bit much. I mean, my question before firing any coach is always, who are you going to get to replace him? Who are you going to get that's better than that coach that you had? And some people answer, well, anybody, because he's terrible. But I don't necessarily think that was the case for Doug Pederson, but we'll see. I mean, these guys who win Super Bowls usually, earn a little bit of credibility, and most likely will find another head coaching job somewhere else in the future because they've won a Super Bowl. So, see something else that happened since we last spoke. This from January 8th. Tommy Lasorda, the fiery Hall of Fame manager who guided the Los Angeles Dodgers to 2 World Series titles and later became an ambassador for the sport he loved during his 71 years with the franchise, has died. He was 93. It goes on to say the Dodgers said Friday that he suffered heart failure at his home in Fullerton, California. Resuscitation attempts were made on the way to a hospital where he was pronounced dead shortly after 11 p.m. Thursday. So I guess that would have been Thursday, January 7th, 2021. See, Lasorda had a history of heart problems, including a heart attack in 1996 that ended his managerial career, and another in 2012 that required him to have a pacemaker. He had just returned home Tuesday after being hospitalized since November 8th with heart issues. So that's sad. That's one thing I always liked about baseball. I liked seeing Tommy Lasorda. So, but this is what happens in life. You live long enough, you get to see a lot of people that you like and or love pass away. So it's sad, but it's true. And then I wanted to touch on this next story because this was something I had spoke of on a previous episode of this live cast. This was from January 11th. Las Vegas Raiders running back Josh Jacobs won't face DUI charges. Raiders running back Josh Jacobs, who was involved in a single car crash last week, remind you this is from January 11th, will not face DUI charges. After an extensive review of the evidence, the Clark County District Attorney's Office filed a complaint this morning, only charging Josh with failure to exercise due care. The police investigation in the Josh Jacobs case revealed that Mr. Jacobs' blood alcohol level was below the legal limit and therefore DUI charges were not being filed against him. Clark County District Attorney Steve Wolfson said in a statement, however, based on Mr. Jacobs' driving behavior, my office has filed a criminal complaint for one misdemeanor count of duty of driver to decrease speed under certain circumstances. I want to go back to this. Blood alcohol level was below the legal limit. I believe the legal limit in the state of Arizona is .08, and this would have been in Nevada. I don't know what their legal limit is, but I will tell you guys this. This kind of leads me into a story. My former insurance guy was pulled over, and he blew like a .06, and they wrote him a DUI anyway, and he had to go to court and fight it. So this kind of gets back to something that I've said over and over and over again on this show, and this is the way that I try to live my life. It wasn't always that way, but since the laws have changed, I do not ever drive under the influence of anything. So once again, please, please, please do not drive under the influence of anything. All right. I'm sure all of you know by now, because I had another story highlighted here, that the Houston Rockets have traded James Harden to the Brooklyn Nets. There was one story I wanted to highlight, though. And, you know, when you're working with somebody who's hard to work with, or you have a coworker who is just always unhappy. This story was from January 14th. Eric Gordon says James Harden trade allows Houston Rockets to move forward. Shooting guard Eric Gordon said he believes the trade that sent former franchise cornerstone James Harden to the Brooklyn Nets allows the Houston Rockets to have a real direction under first-year head coach Stephen Silas after a chaotic start to the season. Obviously, you could tell from the summer and since the season started that he didn't want to be here, Gordon said after Thursday's shoot-around when he was the only member of the organization made available to the media. For us, I think it just gives us a chance to have a real direction. Everyone else on the team can hone in and not worry about his situation. We can just move forward. So, sounds to me like some of his fellow players are happy to get rid of a disgruntled James Harden. And that's usually always the way it is when you get rid of somebody whose actions could be conceived as toxic, as it were. So, let's see, and I got two more stories for y'all here. Let's see, this also was from January 14th. USADA, essentially eliminating marijuana use as UFC violation. The UFC has essentially struck marijuana as a punishable offense in its anti-doping policy. The promotion and anti-doping partner USADA said Thursday, beginning retroactively January 1, a positive drug test for carboxy-THC, the psychoactive ingredient in cannabis, will no longer be considered a violation unless USADA is able to prove that an athlete intentionally used it for performance-enhancing purposes, according to a news release. So that's interesting, but I think this is actually a step in the right direction, as so many states are now legalizing recreational marijuana that it's almost like, if these guys had alcohol in their system, well, they wouldn't be accused of performance enhancing. So I think it's the same thing with the pot there. So it's good to see them moving on, but I actually think. I believe the Congress of the United States had a House bill that they were trying to pass to just legalize marijuana nationally, but I don't think that thing ever went anywhere. I think it got shot down, but we'll see. I think the problem with marijuana was I think it was still like a Schedule C drug or something like that, and my understanding of the whole story of marijuana is that it was only ever made illegal because uh, the hemp could have been used to make paper, and so obviously the forest industry didn't want that to happen, and because that would have cost them money. So it's pretty funny how laws in the United States have been passed to continue on certain things as long as money's involved. Where money's involved, decisions are made. So, speaking of that, it's kind of funny. Joe Biden, with a stroke of a pen, just got rid of 11,000 jobs. So that's congratulations for anybody who voted for that. I mean, that's what you wanted, right? To put your fellow Americans out of work. Good job. Good job. We deserve what we get, good and hard. All right, and then this is kind of the funny wrap-up story here. New York Mets GM Jared Porter fired for sending explicit text images to reporter. Oh my God, I don't know whatever possesses people to do this stuff. And if this is Jared Porter, I mean, really? This guy right here? This guy sent pictures of his junk to somebody? Come on, dude. Come on. This from January 19th. The New York Mets fired general manager Jared Porter on Tuesday, a day after ESPN reported that he sent explicit, unsolicited texts and images to a female reporter in 2016 while working for the Chicago Cubs in their front office. Owner Steve Cohen tweeted Tuesday that the Mets have terminated Jared Porter this morning, less than 12 hours after ESPN's Mina Kimes and Jeff Passan reported that Porter sent graphic, uninvited text messages and images to the reporter. Okay. God. I have so much I want to say about this. One is, I don't think that you should retroactively fire somebody. If this happened in 2016 and it was such an issue, then I would think that this is something they would have known about before they ever even hired the guy. Having said that, if you hire him and then try to fire him for something that he did in the past, you never give somebody a chance to grow and say they're sorry or make up for their mistakes. So this is kind of a catch-22. On the other hand, I don't think that you should be doing this. I don't think that dudes should be sending pictures of their junk or anything to anybody. Period. Paragraph. Female body parts are a lot more attractive, but nobody should be sending pictures of their junk. You just shouldn't do it, because then, if your email gets not your email, but if your phone gets hacked or your whatever account holding those pictures gets hacked, then it's out there, everybody for the world to see. And whose fault is that? It's yours because you took the damn picture. So here's the bottom line. Don't take these pictures. You won't have no problems. And you certainly shouldn't just be sending this stuff randomly to some female reporter. I mean, that is just absolutely ridiculous. So I don't agree with what the guy did, but I don't agree with retroactively firing him for something that he did 5 years ago either. So it's just kind of a catch-22 there. The article goes on to say, In my initial press conference, I spoke about the importance of integrity, and I meant it. Cohen tweeted, "There should be zero tolerance for this type of behavior." Mets President Sandy Alderson, who hired Porter last month, confirmed Porter's firing in a statement. The New York Mets have terminated General Manager Jared Porter effective immediately. Alderson said Jared's actions, as reflected by events disclosed last night, failed to meet the Mets standards for professionalism and personal conduct. Porter, 41, was hired as Mets GM on December 13th to work under Alderson and help lead new owner Cohen's front office. During his introductory news conference, Porter, who signed a 4-year contract with the Mets, spoke about a cultural shift, specifically adding good people to the organization and improving the organizational culture. Sorry about that, need a drink. Article goes on to say Porter joined the Mets from Arizona, where he had served as the Diamondbacks senior vice president and assistant GM since 2017. Prior to that, he spent 12 years with the Boston Red Sox, rising from intern to pro scouting director before joining the Cubs organization in September 2015 as director of professional scouting. It was while he was working for the Cubs that Porter began texting the woman, a foreign correspondent who had moved to the United States to cover Major League Baseball. Let's see. Who had moved to the United States to cover Major League Baseball after meeting her in an elevator at Yankee Stadium on June 26, 2016. The text relationship started casually before Porter began complimenting her appearance, inviting her to meet him in various cities, and asking why she was ignoring him. A copy of the text history obtained by ESPN shows she had stopped responding to Porter after he sent a photo of pants featuring a bulge in the groin area. Oh, Lord. At one point, she ignored more than 60 messages from Porter before he sent a final lewd photo of an erect, naked penis. After receiving the vulgar image, she responded, "This is extremely inappropriate, very offensive, and getting out of line. Could you please stop sending offensive photos or message?" He later apologized in a series of text messages. Yeah, because that's what a woman wants. She's ignoring you, and then you finally send her a picture, a final lewd photo of an erect, naked penis. Oh my God. Yeah, dude. You are a dumbass. Alright, so let me check over here in these comments. See if... Nope. So Adam's not watching today, and that's cool. I appreciate those that have watched. I know, like I said, I'd just been off here for a couple of weeks, and it wasn't intentional, it wasn't planned, but that's the way that it went down. So anyway, as always, I appreciate you beautiful viewers. If you're so inclined, please leave your comments in the comment section below, and I actually do plan on speaking with you again next Tuesday, so please join me at 1:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time next Tuesday, and we'll do it all again. But until then, be good to yourselves and each other, and I will talk to you all later. God bless.